Hello, everyone. Just dropping in with a quick live. First and foremost, I am back in the UK. For anybody who hasn't necessarily seen social media updates, if you don't follow me over on Instagram, you should. I'm at Beth N. E. Wright. I'll pop it up on the screen for you. But if you don't, you might have missed that this time last week, I actually was in the process of traveling home to the UK. But the reason I come live is not to talk about my travels, it's to tell you more about how you can bring in more customers and clients through your business, especially now. I feel like at the minute, it's a little bit doom and gloom. We're all in this space where it's like cost of living crisis and inflation higher than ever, and fuel is up and down. And it's really quite a tough time in the economy, in the world that we're living in. And I just got off a workshop that I was doing. I do every month, I do a workshop on a particular topic. This month's topic was high ticket coaching clients. And I kind of threw in there and mentioned the importance of kind of believing that it's possible to break through and make good money online, even though there is like an economic downturn. Granted, that doesn't have to be the case for your business though. And I wanted to come on and just share a couple of common problems or common hiccups, I suppose, that early online business owners seem to struggle with. And it seems, from my perspective, that a lot of the time when you're getting started in an online business, these are the reasons why you are not getting customers, why you are not confirming and bringing in clients. So the very first thing I'm going to kick straight off, the very first thing that I think that a lot of people struggle with is a lack of audience. A lot of the time we can want to get started, want to quit our job and focus in on a coaching business without having built a reputation and a network around you or an audience around you of people who will be interested and turn to you for those services. So lack of audience doesn't mean you've got only 1,000 followers and you need 50. I don't believe that you need thousands upon thousands of people to build a successful business online. But what I do think you need is a core group of people who are connected with you and interested in what you do and how you can support them. And this can be delivered a bunch of different ways. You don't have to develop this audience through social media if you don't want to. You don't have to do it the typical digital marketing route. You can do this through building relationships in networking groups and online memberships with other business owners and build kind of your reputation in the space by building out a network of people who also are in a similar position to you. Ideally, you want those people to be in your ideal customer outline, you want them to be in your niche. But number one, I see very commonly is a lack of audience. Someone who is very isolated in their business, very much so doesn't have sort of business contacts to speak of, just got started and gone from only knows colleagues to kind of what do I do here? So first port of call for me is going to be get on those networking calls. There are so many free networking events. Coincidentally, I wasn't planning on mentioning it, but I do run a free networking event for coaches as just an example of one of them. But there's lots of opportunity for you to get online, get connected with people, start having conversations and letting people know who you are in the space, as well as social media, as well as email outreach and all of the other things just to get your name known. Number two, a really other common problem that I see with online businesses, and this is something that stretches further on to even online businesses that have been established for a while, successful, can still struggle with this concept. And that is the concept of brand messaging. So, how do you position and share what you do and how you know what you do? And this was what prompted today's live, is because I mentioned this in the session today about high ticket coaching clients and how to get them. And I talked about brand messaging and how so often we'll use phrases like trusted, experienced, accredited. and we'll talk about ourselves in our marketing rather than focusing on the people on the other end. And a really good example of this is the film Elf. So I showed this clip today, and it's very festive and fitting for the time of year in which we're in. And there's in the film Elf, Buddy the Elf has just come to New York, and he's walking around and he sees a sign at a cafe or a coffee shop that says "World's Best Coffee." And he walks in and he screams, "Congratulations, you did it!" And later on in the movie, he takes someone on a date there, blindfolds her, and he gives her a cup of coffee. And he's like, "What do you think it is?" And she says, "A crappy cup of coffee." And he's like, "No, it's the world's best cup of coffee." And it's that sort of concept. You could say trusted, experienced coach is the online business world equivalent of saying that you have the world's best cup of coffee. There is nothing to back this up. There is nothing that you can give to your potential client to understand from that. It's just these kind of like said things that don't really add to your position. They don't really help the person on the other end decide why they want to work with you. And this concept of messaging being like just off the mark, slightly wrong, slightly to the side of just pointing out the things about you rather than the things that set you apart or the results that you get for the people that you work with, means that it's harder and harder to sell. So this is something that I see continually through people's business journeys, is this struggle to find the right brand messaging. Another thing that I see really commonly is something that will hold you back from scaling. And it's not even necessarily through sales. It does impact, but not only through sales, but actually even internally in your business. And that is this concept of having a kind of mishmash around your products and packages. So not having a clear outline of what your services are, saying things like, "My specialized system will help you to do the thing that you want to do." But there's no real specifics or clarity. I see this in the coaching space specifically. Online business is obviously it's a world of its own, and there's lots of niches between. But coaches who have sales pages that talk about their trademark system, this specialized system, but never an explanation on exactly what that system is. Is it a group program that is going to be made up of webinars? Is it a one-to-one program where you're going to be dealing with the person that you're on the sales page for? What does it look like? And the thing that I have to point out here is the word clear. So you can write that down in a million different fan-dangled ways to explain what your specialized system is in a way that you're trying to sell. But I think actually a lot of the time we have to step back and focus instead on just the understanding first and selling second. So anyone who's watched my videos before is probably going to know what's coming here. And it's this thing that I call the Nan test. And my Nan is probably watching this right now, actually, and thinking, "Oh God, what have I done?" But she is quite often a guinea pig for me when I'm considering new service offerings, when I'm writing out things like "I help" statements or text for websites describing products that we do. I will send it to my Nan, who is not in the online business world, funnily enough. And I will ask her, "What's your like first opinion? What's your first thoughts when you read this?" And it gives me such good insight to hear what somebody who isn't in the industry thinks of it. So if her perception is, "Oh yeah, I understand what this means and I get what was included and I know what to expect from this," and she's not in the industry, then it's pretty likely that the people that I am talking to that are in the same industry as me will read that and be fully invested. It also is helpful for pointing out things like your insecurities and things that you might embed. One of the things that I've a bad habit of doing is I use like just and only far too much. And it can sometimes position what I'm saying as that I'm not sure of something. And only when I give that to a very separated party am I able to see from their feedback that there is something to change there. So have somebody to lean on that's not in your space, that you might think, oh God, they don't get what I do. That's the point. They don't need to. If you can explain it to them, some of the gurus I've heard have called it the toddler test. If you could explain it to a toddler, then you're explaining it correctly. Another thing that I think can be a real holdback in your development of bringing in customers through your business is understanding the benefit and the outcome for your customer. Again, we are all very much involved in ourselves. It's natural that we are living life through our lenses. But when you are a business owner, when you're a service-based business owner, especially somebody who is trying to help your ideal customer get from point A to point B, you have to be able to take yourself out of the equation. Stop focusing on what kind of coaching accreditation you have, or what is included in your package, or what you can do, and actually break down and understand what is in it for them. How do they feel when they first start working with you, before their very first session? What is the kind of emotional space that they are in, versus when they leave you, where are they then? And being able to break down and share what your customer has gotten from working from you will be far more valuable than any kind of bells and whistles. Listen to how great this package is. And I say this from both an emotional aspect or practical. You'll see a lot of people say things like, I will get you to six figures. Business coaches who focus on helping the people get to six figures. And they know that when they work with someone, they will leave with six-figure businesses. Now, definitely be careful on any guarantees that you make. But if you know the benefit of what working with you is, and you know that the people who leave you leave a six-figure business, leave a competent CEO, leave with the ability to scale, whatever that thing is, whether it's emotional and it's about helping them be clear, focused, confident, or whether it's about actually more practical, trackable features, like they will leave with a clear marketing strategy. They will leave with six-figure businesses, like those examples. Either is hugely important to being able to describe the value that you have and make it easier for people who are considering working with you to actually justify that spend. So this is a really important one. If you're somebody who gets quite often feedback from prospects around sort of the cost to work with you, if you get feedback about people who are unsure that they're willing to make that investment, or now is not the right time, most of the time that objection comes down to a lack of understanding of whether they will get a return on investment, whether it's worth the spend with the value spent for them. So the final point that I see quite commonly is a focus on the wrong thing. So I've been talking to a lot of business owners lately, and I think a lot of the people that I'm speaking to are saying things like, right now, I don't need to focus on building an audience. Right now, I just need two more clients to make sure that I'm in a good financial place. And a lot of time being spent on social media, a lot of time being spent on future planning of the business, all of which important aspects. But focusing on what you need outcome-wise is going to mean that you aren't wasting time. And the reason I say this is because if you are somebody who is a one-to-one coach, you've not really got any wants or needs to scale beyond it being yourself in your business. You just want to keep booked up. You only really want one-to-one packages. You don't have the want to develop a group program or courses or anything like that in the future. You just want to stay booked and busy as a coach. That's a really good place to be. But I see a lot of people who are in that exact scenario, spending half of their time trying to develop thousands upon thousands of followers on social media and trying to develop email lists, long form content, things that are not necessary to hit that goal. So consider what your true goals are, whether A, you're just hiding your goal and really you're a lot more ambitious than you're saying you are, but that sounds scary. That's a different thing. But if you truly only want 2 customers to make sure that you've got enough to pay the bills over Christmas, that's all you want right now. You don't want to worry about launching something new in the new year. Or you truly don't ever want to hire somebody. You truly don't ever want to scale past 1-to-1 and keeping your own diary full. Then there's no need for you to develop a network, an audience of thousands of people, an email list of thousands of people to sell to, because it is not typically the way that you sell products like that. If you're selling a 1-to-1 service, it'll be done 1-to-1 for most parts. You will likely have a sales call with the other person. They might be attracted to you and come in as a lead based on content that you're putting out, but it's very unlikely that you'll kind of convert through just social media. So it's important to remember what your end goal is and do more of what will get you there instead of worrying about all the noise of all the things that you quote unquote should do. And that's something that I find crosses over multiple elements. I think lots of business owners wake up at 5 a.m. when they hate it and they work very like rigid hours because that's what they think they should do. And this idea of following what seems to be the done thing rather than doing the thing that will actually get you to your next step is a big mistake for online business owners, especially those who are still finding their feet and figuring out which is the best route for them. So, brain dump completed there. I just had these thoughts that I finished this workshop and I was like, no, I need to talk about this more. I'm not quite done. And this is applicable for kind of what's holding you back from bringing in customers. It's applicable from what's kind of getting you burnt out and meaning that you're spending too much time on a million different things. And it's what's causing your marketing to stall. So this is applicable to lots of different areas in your business, and I hope is helpful to you for what is a very quick lunchtime live from me. I can see that there's been a couple of comments coming in, but if anybody has any questions, please do feel free to use the chat, to use the comments after the fact from today's session, and I will follow up and make sure that all of you get answers to your questions, whether it's on mistakes that you might be making or whether it's on marketing or something a little bit more generic to what we usually talk about. So thank you very much for joining me, everybody. I will catch you in the next live. They usually happen about once a month, so don't expect one too soon. But for anybody looking to catch up sooner, there is the networking event for the monthly meetup on the 16th of December at 9 a.m. that I will pop the link in the comments as well. Thanks very much. Bye.